Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. My name's Dave and this is Dave Does Delivery, and I'm here with my first video, what I do as a Scrum Master heading into 2026. There's been a lot of changes in the market, a lot of changes in technology, and a lot of changes in Scrum, and I'm going to go through 8 different things that you can do heading into 2026 to increase your effectiveness as a Scrum Master, give yourself some longer term role security, and build in more versatility to your skill set over the course of a career journey. With that said, let's get stuck into option number 1, which is going to be going beyond Scrum. So going beyond Scrum is number 1 for a reason. There was a time where Scrum was enough on its own to guarantee you a fairly prosperous and long career. I think Scrum has seen its moment in the sun at this point though. Scrum on its own in isolation is probably not enough for modern delivery professionals and modern agile professionals to lean on. So I'd encourage you to think beyond Scrum, and we can go to sort of the typical partner approaches, things like Kanban, things like DevOps, but even going back to the well and looking at more traditional approaches like project and program management and extracting what's good out of those, adding those as more strings to your bow, more arrows to your quiver, can only help you in the longer term, especially as we have now all sorts of different technologies that are leading to all sorts of different approaches. I'm thinking especially around things like AI, which a lot of people are now touting as leading us back to a return to waterfall and those traditional project management and program management techniques. So, idea number 1, go beyond Scrum and broaden your horizons. Let's now move into idea number 2, which is developing a technical edge. And just like item number 1, there was a time as a Scrum Master, as a delivery professional, where I think going as a non-technical person or a non-technical delivery manager, project manager, Scrum Master, that was absolutely fine. There was a time and a period where you could get by being non-technical. I think at this stage, at the very best case, it is a career limiting choice now to be non-technical. And the beauty of the technology landscape, especially on the L&D front now, is there are so many free, versatile and self-paced options available to you. The barrier for developing that technical edge has never been lower at this point. I think there are 3 broad strands driving the technology industry at the minute, and these are the 3 recommendations I'd make for you to develop that technical edge. Number 1 would be AI, which is becoming more and more pervasive every single week. Developing your skills as either an expert level driver and user of AI or understanding what's happening technically behind the scenes is a great benefit. The second aspect is what all of these AI tools, features and platforms are served on, which is cloud. Developing your skills in knowledge base and cloud computing, again, is a huge net benefit across the lifespan of your career as a Scrum Master. And the third one, which underlies both of these, is data. And data is the one that I've chosen to focus on over the last year or so. Again, there's tons and tons of free information, free items, free courses that you can take on this. And also I'll drop a link to my link tree in the video description somewhere, where I've defined learning plans for all of these for you to pick up free credentials and develop your skills in each of these areas. And I can also hear in the background a lot of people saying Scrum Masters don't need to be technical, or technical Scrum Masters are worse. I sort of agree. You don't strictly need to be technical to be a Scrum Master, but if you honestly ask yourself, are you performing at your best by not developing some level of technical knowledge? The answer unequivocally has to be no. You would almost in every scenario, in every conceivable aspect of your professional journey, be better off for developing this technical edge. So please don't have an allergic reaction to this advice. I'd advise you to give it a try, run it as a small experiment, and see what difference it makes to you in a week, 2 weeks, a month's time, and then make a decision on where you should go next. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3 that we're going to go to next is around refining your approach to metrics. So when we talk about metrics, the natural reaction or the natural first thought when we're thinking in a Scrum context is usually something like story points of velocity. And again, those were useful for a time. They still have some uses, but in my humble opinion, they're now being superseded by what I would frame as superior alternatives. I won't go into much depth on these, but what I'm going to do is describe 3 suites of metrics that are well worth your time. And I'd recommend taking one of these on, doing some experimentation with them and seeing how useful they are in your specific context with your teams and organizations. The first suite of metrics is flow metrics. These come from Pro Kanban, and these give you a really good lens to look at the flow of value through your product creation, your value creation system. The second will be one that everyone I'm sure has heard of, the DORA metrics, which give you, again, a research-backed lens to look at your team's performance and assess how resilient, how performant, how agile at the technical level your teams and organizations and products are. And the final is a little bit of a sister act to the DORA metrics, the SPACE metrics. These are a little bit of a follow-on to DORA and gave a little bit more of an internal human focus to the DORA metrics. So out of those three, either flow metrics, the DORA metrics, or SPACE metrics, have a look. I'll leave links in the comments or the description of this video for each of those. Check those out and see if there's one there that could maybe provide some value or give you a new interesting lens to assess your team's performance against. Now let's move forward into item number 4, which is increasing business fluency. So you're probably wondering what I mean when I say develop business fluency or become more business fluent. Don't panic, you don't need an MBA or an exec degree to understand how you can be more effective in this area. Delivery problems are usually framed for business stakeholders in things like money, time, risk, and opportunity. Being able to translate your team's performance and their planning into these sort of core business aspects is really helpful for getting business leaders and especially exec leaders on side and helping them to understand how you're performing and what you need to be able to perform better and improve your team's overall performance. You can start asking questions that execs will ask, things like, what does this cost to the business if this slips? What benefit does the business get from this work? How are we justifying the investment we make in this team in line with the profit or the opportunity capture that we intend to get as a byproduct of their work? These are all really helpful conversations and will start to elevate your impact and also your influence beyond that immediate team level or even the team of teams level. So really recommend being able to speak the language of your exec and business stakeholders. And a final recommendation I would make here is try and develop a little bit of commercial acumen, a little bit of commercial skills to back your technical and delivery skills. You don't need to be ultra detailed like a CFO or an accounts level person, but even understanding the cost of your team per sprint, the value that they create per sprint and what that trade-off looks like is really instructive for you to understand how you're framing success and occasional failures within your team. You can also then go into things like budget and forecasting, P&L statements. Lots of good ammunition there for you to develop that business acumen and commercial edge that make your conversations with management and leadership far, far easier. That's it for this one. Let's move from here and go into building a visible and authentic point of view. Okay, so I think the bottom line up front for this section is that beige Scrum Masters are going to disappear and their influence and effectiveness on the team is going to go with them. Building an authentic point of view allows you to create opinions that give a lot more signal than noise around you, your value offering, and your approach to helping teams deliver more value. Your point of view comes uniquely from your own experiences, from experiments that you've run, from trials that you've ran, and things that you've done to help improve teams and what you've seen work and what you've seen not work. This gives you a lot more credibility than quoting from things like the Scrum Guide or the Agile Manifesto or any books that you've read, because this becomes lived experience that you can then lean on and describe in loving detail. This can help you in a couple of different ways. Number one, internally, it sort of sets you apart from that beige or neutral Scrum Master who sticks to the guide and doesn't venture outside. And externally from your organization, you can use this to build profiles and followings on things like LinkedIn or Reddit. But importantly, this also creates a bit of a differentiator for you in things like career discussions and job interviews. You're now not going into job interview discussions or career coaching conversations looking as a Scrum Master straight off the shelf. You're coming in as a Scrum Master with your own point of view and opinions around what's good about Scrum, what works in Scrum, and all of that should be specific to the contexts and the environments that you've worked in. So don't be afraid to turn on your own kind. Don't be afraid to look at Scrum and hold it in the cold light of day. If there are elements that can work better in your specific scenarios, don't be afraid to play around with those, and then don't be scared to talk about them publicly. The example I always come back to, or the one that stands out to me as a sort of a net sort of benefit across the board, is going beyond a daily scrum or going beyond a formal retrospective to something far more natural. And this is really prevalent in teams that use things like mob or ensemble programming. We really don't need those formalized events, those formalized time boxes for those type of retrospective or daily activity discussions, because those are going to come out in the wash during the ensemble programming approach anyway. And this is a really sort of, I suppose, for traditional and sort of by the book Scrum Masters, a little bit of a radical step where we're starting to take the shackles off Scrum. But in the essence of improving delivery across the board in your teams and organizations, these authentic viewpoints are really what's going to differentiate you and give you a lot more to chew on, a lot more creativity, and a lot more experience to draw on deeper into your career as your role evolves and changes. Okay, that's number 5. Let's move to number 6 now, which is leverage AI to become more effective in your role. Okay, I talk a lot about AI on my LinkedIn and in other places, so I don't want to labor the points on AI. I just want to hit you with some key core concepts here. If as a Scrum Master in 2026 you haven't used AI yet, you're probably already behind the 8 ball, so you really need to get stuck in this year. There is a new tool developed every week, so there's no shortage of tools. I'm sure there is something there that could give you some promise of value that you could try and experiment with to develop your AI skills and your technical fluency. The key things for me are that AI is there to replace manual work. It isn't there to replace your thinking, and you shouldn't outsource your judgment to an AI tool. Use it as a bit of a thinking partner. Use it to pressure test ideas. Ask it for opposition, and when it proposes solutions, you still provide the supervisory or translation layer over the top of that. Don't take AI proposed solutions as gospel. Don't just take them for what they are. Use them as a discussion starter, or use them as a bit of thinking fodder for you to then iterate on and improve and find something that's going to work through a combination of what you know, your experience and your skills, and what the AI is able to offer up for you. This will allow you to save a lot of time, and it will allow you to repurpose a lot of that time into doing other things like the organizational level coaching, like working with business and management peers, like getting beyond that immediate team level because you can automate away or use AI to speed up some of that manual low value workload, and you can then focus on going after bigger fish in the organization to affect real lasting change. Okay, that's it for AI. Let's go now to number 7, which is influencing beyond the team level. For most Scrum Masters, the team level is where everything starts. And unfortunately for a lot of Scrum Masters, that's also where everything finishes as well. A lot of Scrum Masters never really graduate beyond that team level influence, that team level work, to the departmental level or the wider organizational level, which we should all be shooting at, because not only is that where the most interesting and effective problem solving can take place, that's also where you're going to derive the richest experience to carry forward into your career, whether you're a Scrum Master or you graduate to roles beyond that. Team optimization quite naturally has diminishing returns. I'm sure we've all made local optimizations at the team or individual level that didn't quite aggregate up to something meaningful. And the real constraints that an organization deals with typically exist in between teams or above them. And this is where Scrum Masters can really generate the most impactful changes and develop their skills and their effectiveness at the highest level. Stepping into those sort of program portfolio level discussions is a really great way to start making inroads to getting beyond that team level. And again, looking at things like governance conversations, how are teams connected, do we interface well? And lots of good ideas from this can be found in the Nexus guide from scrum.org. And I know SAFe isn't anyone's favourite approach or anyone's favourite flavour of Agile, but within there are some good ideas that you can lean on with things like lean portfolio management that give you lots of different ideas on how you can elevate your influence beyond that individual team level. Well worth looking into, well worth doing some research on, and this will be a great target for you in 2026 if you're now feeling like you've got to the end of the line with your individual team and they're ticking over nicely. This is a really great goal to go after and look at how you can influence the organization at large beyond your individual team. Okay, that's number 7. Now let's go to the 8th and final one, which is thinking in skills, not roles or titles. Okay, this is my last sort of concept or idea I want to cover, and this is one of my hot takes on employment and career journeys more generally. I think what we're seeing is a trend where titles and roles are becoming less and less important, and what's more relevant are the individual skills you have and how you can combine those in creative and interesting ways to solve the problems that you're being asked to tackle. And this is the number one thing I've said about project management for a long time, but also Agile and agility and Scrum-focused roles. You don't need the project manager title to go and perform project manager work or apply project management thinking. Same with Agile, same with Scrum. You don't need to be an Agile coach or a Scrum Master to apply Agile principles to bring in Scrum practices to embed continuous improvement within a team. Do not let a role title or a role name be your barrier to going ahead and applying some of the good delivery, the good agile, the good continuous improvement habits, practices, perspectives that you think can make a real difference in your teams and organizations. Careers that are built on rules are going to become increasingly more fragile. And I think we've already seen a bit of this with the recent changes in the Scrum Master job market. Scrum Masters as a role are now being less and less sought, with project management, delivery manager, coaching roles coming more and more into the fore. I would really encourage you to think of yourself less as a Scrum Master, less as an Agile coach, less as a project manager, and more as an individual contributor with a wide and broad base of skills to draw on to solve the particular problem that's in front of you at the time. Not only does that give you a lot more career versatility and optionality in terms of the roles that you can take on, it gives you a lot more cannon fodder and ammunition for experimentation that you can play around with, for different challenges that you can try and tackle, and for different approaches, methodologies, tools, and practices that you can bring to bear on almost any problem that you're asked to solve in your wider career. I really think that this is going to be the future of all delivery-focused roles, not just the Scrum Master, and I'd love to see more Scrum professionals especially take this kind of viewpoint and develop their skills beyond that immediate Scrum focus, I suppose. Okay, that's number 8. Now let's wrap everything up. Okay, that's it. 8 ideas that you can play around with and try in 2026. Please don't look at these as a prescription. Please don't think you need to take on all of these straight away. Pick the 1 or 2 that you think are most relevant to you, run a little bit of an experiment with them, and report back in a month, a week, however long you want to time box it, and see how things are changing for you and what changes you can make in your organizations and teams. One important note I want to say is Scrum is not going away, but the environment around it is definitely changing, so you should be prepared to change with it. If there's one thing you take away from this video, I really hope it's this. Don't let Scrum become your perspective or your career identity. It's definitely important, it's definitely useful, but you are capable of a lot more than what's encapsulated within the 14-page guide. Don't be scared to go outside, to go to different places to find new and novel approaches, and don't be scared to adjust your approach to Scrum based on what you learn outside of here. I'm really curious to understand which of these you guys think resonates the most, or which one you think is most applicable to you, so please drop me a comment or send me a message on LinkedIn to let me know which of these you want to play around with and give a try in 2026. And please let me know what you thought of the video. If you've got any ideas for future videos, if you want me to deep dive on any of these concepts in more loving detail, please let me know. If this was helpful, please like and subscribe. I now sound like a real YouTuber, and I really hope I'll be able to cover more around things like modern delivery, around metrics, around career trajectories, around building in versatility into longer term career moves. Please get in touch if there's anything that you think I can cover that could be interesting, and please let me know what you thought of this video in the comments below. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone, and hope to catch you soon.